Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Moss.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Judy.
Hello, honey.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Judy's been growing. I've been shrinking. Anyway, last week I introduced a related topic to the one we did before, which was relationship and communication knots and tangles. That was a fun series.
That was fun.
Yeah, we may have a couple more we want to come back to, but I was getting a little kind of. I often, when I'm at the end of something, I get kind of bored and restless. I want to jump
Really?
into something else.
You don't feel like you're at the end of our marriage now, do you?
No,
Okay.
no, I've done that. No. So I think I suggested to everybody who was watching, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to do both, but either how do you make yourself and others miserable? That was a fun one. But the other one I thought would be a good one to do during this time of Thanksgiving and cheer and family is what do successful couples or successful partners
Yeah.
do differently that really enhance their relationships?
I think that's a very good topic.
I don't remember when I was growing up anybody ever talking to me about what makes a successful relationship. How about you?
I can't remember a conversation like that, although I think it would have been a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there was much attention being paid to those kinds of topics back
No.
so long ago when we were
Right. It was go out and herd the cattle, cut the crops, do the work. Do
Practical.
the work, practical things.
Although this is practical, I think.
Oh,
Right? Everybody's interested in having good relationships, whether they have a partner or they have friends, that they want to maintain their
Right.
friendships, they
Right.
have relationships with their children,
yeah,
that they would like to be long-lasting and happy ones.
right. It's interesting that a so-called good, close relationship, a brother, sister, friends, so quickly can fall apart based upon a misunderstanding.
Hurt feelings.
Hurt feelings,
Mhm.
where one partner says he or she should not have done that. If he really likes me or loves me, she would have not have done that.
Well, I think all of us carry around some rules
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
may be conscious or even subconscious. We don't even know they're being violated until they are. Until
Yeah.
somebody violates that rule. We may not even be aware that we
Right.
have that rule.
and the interesting thing about these, what we call implicit rules, that we don't even know, we can't talk about it, is we make judgments then based upon our rule that the person is doing something wrong, rather than, oh, we just have a different expectation, or I want something and you may not want that, you may not want to give it to me, but it doesn't mean you're wrong and I'm right. Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense. I think most of us come by the things that we choose or develop a belief in,
Mhm.
okay, in our family, or we learn it in our schools, in our churches, synagogues, so
Yeah,
forth.
right.
And oftentimes these things are taught to us
Yes.
as right or wrong or good or bad,
Yeah.
right? Not preferences.
Good point.
I think most difficulties that people get into in their relationships, which have to do with the way other people behave or what they believe,
Yes.
has to do with I have a preference for a certain thing
Okay.
because maybe I've been taught that that's the right thing or it's just more comfortable for me. But I don't think of it as a preference. I think of it as a kind of a right or wrong,
Like a
or
rule.
good or bad, like a rule.
Yeah, and these beliefs become so deeply embedded. Like we see this in our therapy and our counseling quite a bit.
Yes.
Like when I do couples work, most of the arguments are based upon differences of opinion, different beliefs, different values, different priorities that are very difficult to say who's right and who's wrong. There are really no set standards, but I think, as you're saying, we got taught these along the way, and we developed them as kind of part of our nervous system. Like, this is just the way it is. You should go to church every Sunday, and if you don't go to church every Sunday, there's something wrong with you, as an example.
Well, I think one way to think about those are that they're cultural expectations. If you
Okay.
think of a family as a certain kind of culture, within which children are taught right and wrong, good and bad.
Yes.
But they're not taught those things as we prefer that. They're taught it as this is right, this is wrong, right? And then we come, naturally, we come to believe that.
Yeah. And also, these beliefs of who's right, what's wrong, we're taught them at a very early age, before we have the ability to take perspective. So it's kind of like what goes in, goes out. So often before the age of 8 or 9, the child doesn't have the ability to take a step back and just say, oh, this is just a point of view from my mom or dad. No, they take it as if that's how it is, that's how it is. It's the truth. And unfortunately, they don't question it later on during their adolescence or adulthood, or when they're in a serious relationship. They just carry the childhood belief of right, wrong into their relationships. And instead of having an adult to an adult relationship where they can appreciate differences of opinion and preferences, they judge each other.
I think that often happens.
Yeah.
Right. And in addition, they take these differences very personally.
Very good. Good.
So not only do I think you're wrong about what you believe or what you did,
Yes.
but I think you intentionally did it to upset me.
Good point. Good point. So researchers doing marital work or work on long-term relationships have discovered a number of habits that if you have it or don't have it, they predict 90% of the people, of the time, people will get divorced or have an estranged relationship. So we've gleaned 10 habits, mostly from the work of Dr. Brent Atkinson, that we're going to talk about. So today we're talking about how do you deal with being judgmental. Okay? So let's kind of figure out a situation where somebody did a judgment. And we'll demonstrate how an unsuccessful couple would handle with a bad habit and how a successful couple might handle it differently, just to give you the comparison, okay?
Okay. Can you think of one? I can think of
You can? Oh, good. What is it?
Right. Well, let's say a couple goes to a party.
Yes.
All right. And one person in the couple is much more outgoing, and the other one is more introverted.
Yes.
Or one prefers to,
Okay.
have interactions with a lot of people, and one prefers to just talk to one or two people at the party. That's what's more comfortable for each person. All right. So they go to the party, and the more extroverted partner, all right, is, I'm saying this a little judgmentally because I'm an introvert, is flittering around at the party, all right, but having a lot of fun, interacting with a lot of different people, not particularly paying attention to the person they came with, their spouse.
Right.
Whereas the more introverted member may have a conversation with one or two people, maybe less comfortable, may want to leave the party earlier, just because that's sort of their natural way of
the way they're wired.
Right.
Right.
But let's say the more introverted partner becomes upset that his or her husband or wife is not paying attention to them, number one, is interacting with a lot of other people and doesn't seem even to be aware that they're around, isn't pulling them into the conversations. They're just doing their own thing.
And therefore that person could feel hurt, rejected, like the other partner doesn't really show an interest.
Right. They don't really care about me. They don't really love me. I mean, you can jump to a lot of conclusions if you're that person and you're feeling uncomfortable in the situation, or it's just not your favorite kind of activity to be doing.
Okay, so why don't we demonstrate it? How about if you be the extrovert and I'll be the introvert?
Okay.
So we're driving home after the party.
You want us to demonstrate an unhealthy way? Unhealthy way? Oh, okay.
I'm going to be the introvert.
Okay, all right.
Usually in real life, I'm the extrovert and Judy's more the introvert.
Okay. Wasn't that a fabulous party? Didn't you just have the best time? There were such interesting people there. It was, I hated to leave. I wish I hadn't had to leave, but I know you weren't having such a good time, were you?
You always do that. You always do that. You go to a party, you got to be a star of the floor, flirting around, flitting around, having a little chat here, a little chat there. Everything is superficial but cheerful.
Excuse me, what do you mean superficial? I had deep, deep conversations. They may have been brief, but we got to the heart of things. And what's your problem with that anyway?
No. Look, when a couple goes to a party, they should make sure they're together. Your primary responsibility is to be with me. When you go away, you just basically are saying to me, I don't want to be with you, you're not that interesting, and I'll catch you later for a ride home.
It isn't about that at all. You and I are together all the time. What is your problem? I was just having a good time. And
See,
that's what people do at parties, for heaven's
that's the
sakes.
point. You want to have a good time rather than kind of being with me and my being with you. Because listen, when I go to a party, I want to have a good time, but I'm not running all around going, look at me, look at me, look at me. I want to be with you.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm just having a good time with the other people at the party. Like, what is your problem with that? I don't understand.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. This isn't going anywhere.
Oh, you're such a jerk.
That's a bad habit. See what we're doing? It's turning into an argument. So by the time we get home, the driver would have been driving the car at 70 miles an hour, speeding along, and you go home, you go to bed, sleep on opposite ends of the bed, and don't talk to each other for a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a demonstration of a bad way called being judgmental. I think we both got judgmental on that one.
I was totally judgmental.
I was totally judgmental
right?
about you.
Yeah.
There was a right way and a wrong way. From my point of view, you were wrong and I was right.
I see.
How about from your point of view?
Exactly the opposite.
You were right and I was
right
wrong.
and you were wrong.
Okay.
Right.
So all there was really going on was each of us have a different preference for connecting, interacting with other people. And I had an expectation or a wish that my partner would spend more time with me. And we never negotiated this. We never talked about it. We just went in with different expectations and we were both dissatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Judy wasn't that dissatisfied because you were doing what you wanted to do.
Right.
I was dissatisfied. And now I'm kind of sitting here having a resentment or a grudge. Like
Against me.
why am I with a person who is so inconsiderate? Mm-hmm. See how that's judgmental?
Well, I like that you pointed something out.
Mm-hmm.
That before we went to the party, we never had a conversation about how we wanted to handle being at the party together.
Right.
And you never said to me, I'm kind of uncomfortable in big groups, so, I'd like you to sort of,
okay,
I'd like to go with you, or could we decide on how to handle it?
Okay.
Since you love that kind of thing, but I don't, or I love that kind of thing, but you don't. Like, we didn't even probably think about
no, we didn't.
making some kind of
automatic.
a plan. Yeah.
So there are 3 times you can deal with a so-called crisis or an upset. Before the upset, during the upset, and after the upset. What we're doing just there, we're trying to deal with it after the upset, but we did not deal with it quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So we were giving a demonstration of what an unsuccessful couple would do. So demonstrating what a successful couple might do before the party, having some mindfulness and awareness, I might say to you, hey Judy, I want to run something by you. We're going to this great party tonight, okay? And I know how much you love being with our friends, and I think that's great because you're really quite adept at just striking up conversations and being really engaged with a lot of people.
I know, I think it's a lot of fun.
I know, I can really see how great you are at it, how much you like it. So I'm not great at it, okay? And sometimes I kind of feel by myself when I'm not talking with somebody, and I like to figure out how, when I'm feeling kind of alone, I can get your attention so I could feel a little more connected. Because I hate that feeling of feeling lonely and disconnected.
Okay, so you want to figure out like a signal?
Like a signal.
And then,
like I need a little attention.
But let me ask you something. So if we'll figure out the signal, but like if you signal me,
yes,
then what is it you would like me to do?
I'd like you to just be aware. I'm
Yeah.
feeling a little alone.
Okay.
And I'd like some kind of connection, like maybe you coming over, asking me how I'm doing. Hi, honey, how you doing?
Okay.
Giving me a hug.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because if I'm busy talking to people,
Yes.
I might not notice you. I might not in the moment
Yes.
think to be looking, okay, where is Moss? And
Right.
is he signaling me?
Right.
Could I ask you,
Oh.
if you start feeling kind of uncomfortable or alone,
Right.
if you would find me and come over to me
Oh, sure.
and just take my hand or
Oh,
something,
okay.
and then you could include yourself in
Just
whatever
join.
conversation I'm having,
Oh, that's good.
or just maybe being there. I don't know. Would that be enough
I
for you?
think that's an excellent suggestion.
Okay.
I didn't even think of that.
Okay,
All right.
great. So
That will keep us connected.
let's do that.
Okay, good.
Okay, and I'll do my best to pull you in and include you in
Okay.
whatever conversation I'm in.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Good. Now, for us to do this well, I have to be comfortable with my dependency
Mm-hmm.
and not being as socially extroverted as my partner. So all we're doing now, we're not talking about how she should behave or what I should do. We really are looking at how can we take care of each other's preferences, respect that, and at the same time, go about your business so you don't have to be super attentive towards me, or I'm waiting longingly for you to come over and pat me on the head.
Right.
Okay.
So it occurs to me that would be an example of you being proactive
Yes.
at helping yourself.
Yeah.
And then of my, not giving in to any feelings that I might have in the moment of annoyance
like
or
that.
something like that.
I like that.
And being generous
Right.
to,
Right.
okay?
Right. As
Yeah.
we're talking about this, I'm not feeling any irritation,
Me neither.
any judgment. We're just negotiating how can we take care of each other and ourselves.
Right, so both of us can have a good time at the party.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a demonstration of what you can do before you're going out someplace or going to do something. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I would like. How about you? And how can we negotiate and make a kind of a contract and work it out? That's one way of avoiding being hurt and judgmental later.
Mm-hmm.
But let's assume that we're driving home and you had a great time and for some reason we did not connect well.
Okay.
You're having a great time.
Right.
But I'm driving home with you feeling kind of neglected.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I could go down that route I showed before
Yeah.
of being the hurt, judgmental person, but I could do what many successful couples do, is to come from curiosity and respect. Like there's nothing wrong. Nobody did anything wrong. Judy did not do anything wrong. I'm just curious. And so I might say to you, hey Judy, I'm curious about something. Mind if I run something by you?
Oh, sure, that's fine.
I notice you are so skilled at when we're in a social group with a lot of people, you seem to find a way of engaging with people in a way that looks really real and authentic, and you're having what looks like really good conversations.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think I have that ability. So I'm really curious because I'm much more comfortable finding one or two people and spending the whole 2-3 hours with that one or two
Well, there's
people.
nothing wrong with that. That's a fine way
Yeah.
of doing it.
Yeah, thank you. But I'm curious about what's that like for you? What's the pleasure you get from engaging with, say, 10 people instead of 1 or 2 people?
Wow, I never really thought about that.
I'm
I
really
think
curious
it's-
about it.
Uh-huh. I think it's, number one, that I'm curious about other people.
I see.
So one of the things that I often do, is to ask questions of people as a way of engaging and moving into
you're really good at that.
conversation.
I see that.
Like if it's somebody I haven't seen for a while, it's what
Right.
have you been up to,
Right.
and tell me about your kids or whatever I might know about them. I
see.
might ask them
Taking
about.
an interest in
Right,
them.
or if I've never met them, somebody introduces me.
Yes.
I might say, wow, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Right.
Like, tell me a little about yourself.
Right.
Or whatever. So I think I use questions
That's all.
as a way
Questions.
of engaging other people.
So
right.
you don't have to be the interesting person. You want to be interested.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
Good way
really
to put
cool.
it.
That's
yeah.
cool. I think sometimes.
Right, because if I felt like I had to be interested,
Right,
it would
right.
feel,
Yeah.
I would be uptight,
Yeah.
and it would kind of feel like a burden
Yeah.
to me.
Right.
So it wouldn't be fun.
I think that's kind of how I feel. Like if I can't show another person something interesting that I'm doing or that I experienced, I don't know what to say. But I like what you're saying, which means you don't have to say a lot. You just want to ask questions by showing an interest in the other person.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I was curious about it because tonight I was kind of sitting by myself a number of times, thinking to myself, oh, God, maybe I'm jealous of Judy. But I did feel a little judgmental, but I did not want to go down that path of being judgmental, thinking, I think what I was really feeling was a little like I was missing you.
Oh.
That's what it was. Not that you were doing something wrong. And I didn't quite know how to connect. But I see now I can connect by either getting close to you, holding your hand, joining you, or just talk to people. I could experiment with that. Just start asking people questions.
Yeah, try it. Maybe you'll like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where'd that saying come from?
I don't know. TV.
No, I like that. Okay, so did you see a difference between those two? And by the way, successful couples get upset, just like unsuccessful couples. But the successful couples resist going into judgment and taking it personally. They get upset because they're not getting their needs met. So what Judy and I were doing here, we're kind of sharing what our preferences are, helping each other out, gaining a better understanding of each other's styles, and looking at what can we do to continue to support each other.
Right,
See?
because I think couples will always inevitably run into these kinds of challenges.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, people are different from one another, even if it's a little difference.
Yes.
There's always the potential for getting upset or a
Right.
misunderstanding.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would just bring in another piece, which
Yeah.
has to do with when something occurs like that, an upset occurs, okay, of all kinds. If you make the assumption that your partner did not intend to upset you,
I see.
did not intend to hurt your feelings, even if your feelings got hurt.
Yes.
But if you make that assumption that whatever it was they were doing, they had a benign intent.
Right, so giving the person the benefit of the doubt.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
In that, if you're not bringing any kind of assumption that they meant to upset or hurt you, then it's easier to have a collaborative conversation about it.
So even though I might be upset, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, and I could take a more grown-up position to say, I'm just kind of curious, what you get from that way of conversing, and actually tell you I'm curious, and tell me what you get from it, because what came out of it is my now learning this new skill called I could ask questions.
Right. Or I think another thing that happens is when you get upset about something, if you view it as, wow, this is information about something that I believe or something that I want that maybe I didn't realize I wanted, and then I can, if I'm willing, I could share that with you.
That's great. We did some work long ago, I think, in Imago work and the pairs work.
Yeah.
So these are training programs that couples could take. And you and I got some training to facilitate couples work. And there was something that I think in Imago was talked about, which is under every upset, like a complaint, like being judgmental. If I'm judgmental that Judy is too social, or if Judy has a judgment that I don't socialize enough, that's a judgment. That's a criticism. Under every criticism or complaint is an upset, either frustration, annoyance, hurt, anger. But under all that is what's really important, which is an unmet need, desire, or wish. And I think what successful couples do is we get clear about what the underlying desire, need, or wish is.
Right,
not get caught up with the complaint.
Right, then if you know what it is, then you're in a position, if you choose to ask your partner if they can fulfill that, whatever it might be. I mean, you have to be willing to risk it, because they could say, I really can't do that, or I don't want to do that. But then you're actually talking about what's real, what's underneath the upsetting feelings that you have. You know, so a lot of marriage comes down to negotiating, I think, your differences with your partner.
Now, Judy and I are talking about something which we consistently use both in our marriage and in our work with couples, which is to get the underlying desire, wish, or need, and get the person off getting too focused on the complaint or the judgment. Because if you start with the judgment, the other person automatically gets defensive, gets hurt, angry, and then it's a downward cycle. And we get into an argument and both people feel disengaged. Because the art of a good relationship is to stay connected. Mm-hmm. So, in general, what this series is going to be about is there are two buckets, I think, that are important. One is, what do you do when you're upset or you think a person has been mistreating you? How do you handle that in a successful way versus unsuccessful? And the other bucket is, how do we constantly create opportunities to show fondness, appreciation, and acknowledgement to our partners, so we're contributing to what we call the emotional bank account, building goodwill. Those are the two buckets that we're going to be talking about. Today we talked about the first bucket, which is how do you handle a disappointment, an upset, when you're feeling judged or are being judged. So next week, I think we're going to talk about, if it's okay with you, Jude, the art of standing up for yourself without putting your partner down. Being able to stand your ground, say what's in your mind and your heart without getting into putting your partner down.
Okay, that sounds good.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. For those of you tuned in directly, we see some of our friends showing up. It's good to see your names. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being here. And hopefully, if you like this series, please hit like and send it to people you like or people you don't like whose relationships have to be improved. Just send it to them, okay? And anyway, be well. Have a great week. Anything else you want to say?
No, thank you.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.